SIE division chose some strange timing to post a newly developed job posting during a late Friday evening where most people are either out and about, bar hopping, club jumping, what have you, or maybe they're settled at home with their families, resting from a long work week. But to our surprise, SIE decided to randomly post a new job list search for a capable and industry experienced individual to join SIE as their newly appointed Senior Director of Multiplatform Account Management. Now, to whoever they decide to appoint this position, that person shall work and report directly under SIE's Vice President of Commercial Management. Their main responsibility is to account for optimizing software title profitability across multiple platforms outside of direct PlayStation related hardware. And that's Steam, Epic Game Store, the Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile devices. I would say, in most fanboys' opinions from reading this job posting, the most surprising and perhaps off-putting supported platform from this list would have to be support for the Xbox. But if there's a will, there certainly is a way. No matter the personal opinion of what most would scream and argue about, SIE themselves believes enough in the purpose and the goal that Xbox does have a money well begging to be tapped wide open, but only with the right games that make sense for SIE to even bother attempting this test. So prior to this surprise job listing, our gaming communities were already aware of two previously announced titles to be ported to the Xbox consoles. Bungie's extraction shooter Marathon being one of them, announced a few years back, with the other being the newly announced platform porting of Helldiver II, coincidentally on the same release date of Gears of War Reloaded for the PlayStation 5. If I was going to take my best educated guess, what possible titles will come after Helldiver II? Well, to be honest, I'm going to have to say it's more than likely, and I could be wrong about this, but it's more likely poised to be Until Dawn Remake. And the reason why I say that is because, well, let's take a look at this game's recent history. Sony has decided to re-release Until Dawn as a remake for the PS5 last October. And then when you fast forward to 2025, they have the Until Dawn movie. God knows why they did not release at the same time in conjunction so they can maximize profits from the franchise from both a game and a movie at the same time. But overall, on both releases, Until Dawn had failed the box office and in stores. What more is there to do other than try to ignite additional sales and interest in Until Dawn on the Xbox? And that would make the obvious choice to port next. But at the same time, the Decima engine is an engine that does work on the Xbox due to Death Stranding 1. So they could simply start porting the Horizon series games along with Death Stranding 2. But time will tell. We don't know for sure right now what is coming over, but we do know at the very least next month we are getting Helldivers 2. As a start, Helldivers 2 comes out in August. Let's also not forget about Haven Studios' Fair Games. Now, if this game is not actually canceled and this studio is not actually closed, that is probably a good bet that Sony will like to expand that game's audience if this game is not canceled. We don't know anything more about Fair Games' fate ever since Jade Raymond has left the studio. I assume the game is still in production. We just haven't heard any more news about it. But if it's still in the cards and that game is not canceled from Sony, chances are, more than likely, the safe bet is Fair Games will be ported, more than likely, day one on the Xbox along with the PlayStation and the PC. However, anything beyond Marathon and Helldivers 2 would be the complete unknown to any one of us. Examining closely at the right here, right now time frame, Surely, it looks kind of predictable on paper for what would and what surely won't be ported over to the Xbox. But not one of us should ignore the many possibilities of what could be planned behind closed doors from SIE's long-term support for the Xbox. So in a matter of speaking, Sony plans to journey even further into uncharted Xbox territory, most likely influenced by Microsoft and Xbox's unexpected success from PlayStation's storefront. At this point, there's just no real telling of what they may or may not be willing to port over to Xbox in the short but distant future. The obvious, fast, and easiest money to be made would be to begin porting SIE's full fleet of highly praised single-player blockbuster titles. But most would argue and ask, who's really left to purchase these titles day one on the Xbox? Would the majority of players just be a handful number of double-dipping buyers? Or would and could this sway brand new Xbox players who had no initial interest in owning a PlayStation or any of their first-party titles? The sheer number of titles to choose from to port over to Xbox is vast, and SIE truly has their pick of the litter from any set choice of titles from the past or the present. SIE really could just spend the rest of this console generation up until probably the middle of next generation just porting 2, maybe 3 titles per year, just to bank on what essentially would be guilt-free money off of who's left remaining exclusively tied within Xbox's ecosystem. Continue whetting their appetite long enough with high-profile titles, it might ultimately convince remaining Xbox players to at the very least buy a second primary console or just fully switch over to Camp PSN. I'm sure as a whole SIE has no problems at all slowly ciphering cash from out of Camp Xbox, but this success could come with the possible risk to their own console brand recognition. Going down this same road that Xbox has paved would mean that SIE would need to loosen their iron grip stance on console exclusivity. I believe, going forward, that day one multi-platform releases for any and all PlayStation Studio titles can no longer be avoided like they've been doing currently, especially in regards to the PC. I think Microsoft and Xbox has shown Sony the possible success you can have by porting your titles to other platforms, including your rival consoles. It's not guaranteed money, but I believe that Microsoft and Xbox shown Sony that there is money still left here on the table that can be collected if you were to release your game strategically to other platforms. It doesn't have to be everything, but it should include 1 or 2 heavy hitters. Time will tell. You know, any worldwide global conglomerate of the likes of like Google or Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Exxon, what have you, their goal, their ironclad goal overall is to maximize total revenue and profit simultaneously without hesitation or fear of FOMO from reaching out and connecting with as many customers they can all at once. Continuing to exercise the practice of software exclusivity can be seen by most new customers as archaic and in most cases a true inconvenience. I'm guessing here, but I think that most new customers are probably supporting the mindset, if you can't respect where I want to be, then I won't respect where you'd like me to be. Or essentially quench my thirst today and I'll look deeper in your direction tomorrow. Ultimately, nowadays, everyone that's born on this planet is born with a screen in their hands now. Gone are the days of just one boob tube households and one giant silver screen to gather with friends and family in a large auditorium. This same logic of evolution now applies to the gaming industry. I know it's a radical adjustment from how we gamers consume and purchase our games in the past since, like, forever. Some may say what SIE is poised to do is considered a betrayal to their console loyalty and the faith in the brand of Sony PlayStation, while some others may say this change is long overdue. Personally speaking for myself, I say let them worry about the future that they're shaping around us. Live and enjoy your life for the right here, right now, and enjoy these short moments we can all share together. But tell us, what do you say? And with that being said, I am Musical Weapon. Come back again. We'll do this again.